Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Libby chat celebrating the release of Libby, the Libivia Joanna. I'm Reagan W.H. McCauley, the author, one of the authors, I should say. If you joined me yesterday, I was chatting with Kevin Risk, my husband, and the other author. Today, it's Gordon Bagshaw, the illustrator. Hi, Gord. Please
Hey, how you
intro
doing?
yourself.
How
I'm
you
great.
doing? You're good?
I am great. You're doing good?
I'm doing good. It's really hot here these days in Brazil. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a Canadian. I'm living in São Paulo, Brazil. I've been
Mhm.
here for about 12 years. The main thing I do while I'm here is um, pester my dogs. I'm just joking. I'm an English teacher. I had to think about that. I'm an English teacher. I love doing it. So shout out to my students. And also, when I'm not doing that, I get to do lots of drawing. And I'm also a cartoonist. I do a cartoon strip about my dogs, Frodo the Sheltie. Uh, I have about 3 books there and with them, and I think we're going to be giving away some of those, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Yes, the trilogy. At the end, I will announce the winner of that and a free copy of Libby the Libivia Joanna. So
Woohoo!
there is a
Woohoo!
lucky winner that's been drawn. So, all right. Gord, did you want to tell everybody how it was actually that you and I met? Of course, I can jump in as well, but
Oh let's
let's,
tag each other on this one.
yeah,
Yeah, this was back in the day when I think a couple of years ago I was using Twitter a little bit more.
yeah,
Frodo, it's actually something I'm not using a whole lot of. Sorry, Twitter. Uh,
yeah,
I just, there's only so much you can do with social media in balancing it all and making it make sense, right?
right.
But back in the day, I was there, and it was a good thing I was there because I think that's where you and I met.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. We just started chatting a little bit on Twitter back and forth and, just introducing each other. And then not too long after that, I was starting to look for illustrators for my books. I was already working with Alex Zgud, who was helping me out with Beverly Bees, the Brown Burmese, and she's gone on to do a couple of my other books as well. But I wanted to find out, to feel out, send out feelers about getting other illustrators involved in other books and getting quotes and whatnot. So I asked you about that.
That's right. You did. You were asking me whether or not I did this. I think you
Mhm.
saw that I had done one with
Yes.
another author, Sarah Elvidge. That was the only other children's book I have done so far, called Sleepy Time with Mammals. That was also a lot of fun to do that, but that was pretty much the first kind of getting my feet wet in this kind of area of art.
Yeah.
And you then asked me if I do this, and I was telling you at the time, well, it still is pretty much that it's not something I do for a living.
Mhm.
That I am primarily an English teacher. But the good thing about that is that because I'm not doing it for a living, I get to really pick and choose what I get myself involved with. And I said, for me, it really matters, obviously, what the story is about. And then you said, do you remember what you said?
Yes, yes. Well, this particular book that I was thinking of for you was, oh, well, this is about a cactus plant with self-esteem issues.
And I
Here.
said, oh, I'm in. I think it was pretty much that quick. You use all that's. It was like you were such a salesperson on that one. You said, "Oh yeah, this is about a cactus that has self-esteem issues," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this
Mm.
person, her imagination. Uh, I have to be a part of that."
Yes.
And so I remember when you said that for some reason, and I have been approached before. I don't think I ever said that to you before.
Oh, okay.
I had been approached by other people. I won't, in case they're seeing this, no offense. Their story wasn't hitting me the same way. Um, it, I did try, but I felt I wasn't connecting with the character very well, and that matters to me. I have to connect,
Yes.
obviously. And when that was it, as soon as you said that line, my brain ignited, and I think within a week I had a first version of Libby. It was really that fast. Um, and so that was very, I don't know, the energy, the synergy that was there. I just knew that this was going to be a lot of fun. So, yeah.
And it has been. But now that you've sort of opened up this topic, well, let's talk about the theme and messages of Libby, the Libivia Joanna, which is the scientific name of her type, her species of plant. How that influenced your art? Like, what was it? Yeah, and what sort of effect it had on you personally and the artwork itself.
Well, I would say the theme being one of self confidence, self esteem. Libby is a character, as you can see on the cover. She's burying herself inside her pot, and this character of one who doesn't know what it feels like to be touched, who doesn't know that sense of love, and how that played upon her, that sense of loneliness, inadequacy, all of that. I think every one of us at some point feel that a little bit. Some more than others, unfortunately. And I, um, I think when I was thinking about this project as an artist, I talked about this with other artists. That feeling of what we call kind of that imposter feeling, that feeling of oh, am I the right person for this? Can I actually do this? All of a sudden, when it comes to the art world, sometimes it can hit us like that feeling of maybe I want to crawl inside my pot a little bit, you know? And so I felt as Libby was growing in her self-confidence, perhaps I was also growing as well. And so it was a lovely kind of marriage between Libby and I in this process. It was a lot of fun.
Nice, nice. Well, you spoke of Libby there. How about talking a little bit about Violet and her character arc, and then we can chat a little bit about how they sort of the contrast, basically.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And we revealed Violet the other day at the book launch, which was a lot of fun. And we had Simone came and read, and that was such a thrill to see her, to listen to her give voice to her. Um, and we don't have today an image of her with us in our live here. But if you go to my Facebook page, you'll see that I posted a picture of her. So now we know what Violet looks like. That's not Violet over here, by the way, just in case you're wondering. That is a petunia, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. So just a character within the garden. Our petunia friend doesn't have a name, not yet. But in any case, in any in any case, drawing Violet was. Well, all of the characters, it's such a joy. She was actually much harder, though, to do than Libby. I had gone through a lot of versions of her, and some were like, oh, I think that's it, but it's not quite it. And then when she finally came about, when I got her done in vector and started painting her, what I'm going to say, peach fuzz, that kind of that. When I started to put those kind of parts on her, she started to come alive for me. And of course, I we don't want to spoil too much, but we know that as much as Libby is a character that is having self-esteem issues and kind of burying herself inside her pot, Violet, this beautiful African violet, is very much aware of her beauty. She's very much aware of and full of confidence.
Yes.
Dare I say, pride and
Mm.
vain. and and that was a lot of fun to play with. To to design her flowers, all kind of creating this kind of body for her, but Violet herself, her flower, her head, I purposely made her stand up high for
Yes.
that first portion of the book to express pride in who she is, and but pride not in because there's pride in having self-confidence, but then there's also vanity, being vain and not being able to see the beauty of others, which is different. So she stood very tall, but not in a very good light. Um, and so that was a lot of fun to play with that, this kind of character arcing in the beginning. And of course, spoiler alert, there's some things that are going to happen to these characters that will transform them. And all the characters in this book go through this growth,
Yes.
if you will. And it was a lot of fun to play with that artistically, to show that. And your writing, you and Kevin, your collaborative writing, really made it easy to visualize that. Really, really easy. Yeah.
I'm glad for that. We all work together so well, and we continue to. And adding Justine, our publisher from Mirror World Publishing, has just been a natural step in the collaborative process. It's all been so good. I will say that
shout out to Justine.
Hi, Justine. And I will just say, in wrapping up about the characters and the arcs where they end, they flip basically. So Libby, starting shy and lacking confidence, gains confidence, and Violet, who is quite vain and overly confident, perhaps, humbles. So that's nice watching them, dovetail like that. So
exactly, there's this kind of this. Oh, see again, this kind of starting like this in posture, and this kind of almost coming into the same level.
Balance.
It was quite lovely to see them, and I say that it sounds like I wasn't the one doing it, and that's something that was that is a part of something that happens for me in this kind of artistic experience, is that when the characters come alive in this process, it's almost like they're moving themselves. There is this feeling. There was moments. Again, no spoiler alerts. You'll have to go get the book to see what the moments that I'm talking about. That there was a moment where Violet was sitting in a particular way in her pot, that there was a conversation going on between the two plants. And each time I was drawing, or moving, I should say, because that's what we do with vector, we could move the parts. I moved Violet, and it was almost like, I'm going to sound crazy, it was almost like Violet was saying, move me closer.
Yeah.
Move me closer. And as I kept doing that, it was like Violet was saying, closer, closer, until she was right up next to Libby. And in that moment, it was as if Violet was saying, that's where I want to be. Yeah. And it was really kind of, for me, magical to interact with the art, your story, influencing what was happening in the drawing. There's this great balance and synergy going on.
Lovely. Yeah. And I will say, as a writer, and I think I speak for other writers when I do say that that doesn't sound crazy. Characters talk to us all the time. And I'm sure other artists know exactly what you're talking about. So, but we had touched on collaborative relationships. So tell me why this has been different than you working on Frodo the Sheltie, for example?
Well, with Frodo, it's just me and my dog. Quite often, Frodo he'll do something, and so much of it's observational humor for the most part, and so Frodo is like my writing partner. Actually, I call him my ghostwriter.
Ah,
He gives me all the material, really. So it's it's like he makes it easy. He's the comedian. I'm just drawing, and so but there's that, and obviously because of that, Frodo, um, he's all he's all me. I get to decide, what he looks like in the end, and what expressions. It's really on me to do that. This was, and even this was different to in working with Sarah Elvidge in her book Sleepy Time with Mammals. Shout out to Sarah if you catch this. That book was fun, but it was a different kind of working with her, because these were just generic animals that I was illustrating for her educational book, I'll say. So that in itself was also a very lovely process. But again, this was very different because this one's character based. So for me, that was such a lovely challenge to be able to read your stories, you and Kevin, have conversations with you, try to get to know the characters a little deeper than what you have actually put on page. And through those conversations we had, to try to imagine, this is what I see you are telling me. This sort of thing. And also exploring flowers on Google search, and for instance, this character was a lot of fun. This Petunia. He in the book in the garden, I believe he is kissing Abigail's finger. And that flower that is kissing Abigail on the finger was inspired by an actual flower that I saw on in Google search. That this flower was postured in almost like a royal position, like I don't know what you call those. Like, well, a servant of royalty.
oh, okay.
That the posture of it was kind of bowing down and kissing the finger of Abigail, or at least the flower was doing this. And I was like, oh my, actually, in that sense, I was like almost literally drawing the position of that particular flower because it spoke to me so loudly. So it was really neat to explore in that sense, and the development of characters. But it was scary also in some respects, because I was wondering, are you two just being nice? Am I getting it? Are you feeling good about these characters, or like, okay, that's the best he can do? I mean, that's the part of, I'm sure there's a million people who could do this better than I can, and that's me. That's the Libby inside of me coming out. But no, there were also times when I saw these characters develop and going, wow, there she is. So it was a lot of fun. To be able to create characters for somebody else was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
you touched on the flowers in the garden there, and I wanted to give you a chance to talk about how they are all cat-friendly flowers.
Yes.
We made that choice for Priya's sake, Priya, who's right there walking by. And yeah, tell me about that and your sister's input in.
Yes. Well, What was really fun about that process? Well, fun, I could say this fun now, but slightly frustrating as well in the beginning. I had spent a couple of days trying to design characters that were Lily characters. And um, I don't even know where they're somewhere on my computer still, but I was in the process of creating these lily characters because I think the flower is a beautiful flower, and I was talking to my wife Raquel about it, and she so kindly had bought me this lily plant, uh, and it was just beautiful. Forgive me for not knowing the technical words for this, but it was an orange lily. It was beautiful,
Probably
and
tiger,
so I was sorry. Is it? It's a tiger lily? Is
probably, or a daylily.
probably?
One of those. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
In any case, I was going to start modeling in vector based on this particular flower. I was getting all excited, and I had spent some time with it, and then Raquel had said to me, "Oh yeah, oh and by the way, be careful with the lily because it's toxic for dogs and cats."
Yes.
Well, we don't have a cat, but she was thinking about Frodo and Wendy, and I said,
Yes.
"Oh, okay, good." And I went, "Toxic,"
Yeah. Hmm.
and I thought,
Worst
"Oh,
cats. Yeah.
wait a minute. If I'm making a flower that's toxic, and Abigail has a cat." And
Yeah.
then that sparked a conversation for you and I.
Mm.
And that was actually, again, that was actually a lot of fun. That happened quite a bit. Uh,
Yes.
that I think in your talk with Kevin,
Mm.
you talked about having this kind of finality to the writing, but then I mean, it was never really
Mm.
over at some point, really. You and I and Kevin would come together quite often and talk again about the story. And that was actually fun working with you and Kevin and your flexibility and generosity with your story and being able to work with the art that
Yeah.
when the art and the text were not
Yeah.
coming
Change.
together in
That's right.
marriage, you know, that was such a humble thing for you to do as writers to come together with the art. It was really that was actually what made me excited about being a part of a project like this as well. But
Awesome.
this actually led me, this talking about the flowers, this led me to talk to my sister Lori, who is really she has a passion for flowers. Hi Lori, if you're catching this. And she walked me through some plants that would be a better choice for cats. And that also led me to looking up YouTube tutorials on cat-friendly plants, and so I put together a list, and you and I talked about that. So all the flowers in the garden are cat-friendly. There's even catnip. There are black eye Susans,
Mhm.
sunflowers, and some others, petunias.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so a lot of fun.
Well, and speaking further to the garden, and you made me think of our guest we had at the launch, Tina, and we talked about the backgrounds of the two main characters in this case, not so much the garden, but we talked about Libby Jajoyana and African Violet backgrounds, and how they contrast, and uh, even I, like as one of the writers, did not realize how much they contrasted in having them, their backgrounds. The more tropical, rainy violet from Tanzania, and then the South American dry desert uh, rocky ground substrate that Libby comes from. It's great having them on the same windowsill. I just,
Yeah,
your
it's
thoughts on that too.
yeah, like this one character that's thorny and prickly, and painful to the touch, and the other one which has like velvet leaves, as you so poetically put in the book, um, and that was actually really important to me when I was drawing Violet. That I really I wanted people to experience her. I wanted, when you saw Libby, I wanted people to feel like, don't touch. That was my feeling.
Mhm.
She's cute, but don't touch her because it'll hurt.
Yeah.
That was what I wanted to convey with her. Um, there's nothing about her presence, even her fingers, as you can even see on the cover. Um, Not only in the character sense, those who touch her would be hurt, but anything she touches could also be hurt. So it's this really kind of separation from being able to have any sense of um, feeling of belonging, if you will. And but where Violet, I really wanted people to feel like, oh my goodness, I wanna hug this plant. I want to touch the leaves. I want to put my fingers across the petals. I really wanted people to feel that. And I hope that will happen for people on some subconscious level, that can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But it was really something that you created these two characters. Um, and I would say that to some degree, when I finished drawing them and I got them up on the sill, the polarization between these two characters really became alive to me
Yeah.
in that moment. That I was thinking, wow, this is going to be quite a story being
Yeah.
unfolded. And these two
Yeah.
characters that are both plants,
Mhm.
living such different experiences and having two different kinds of worlds,
Mhm.
um, that they find a common ground
Yeah.
um, in the end. That I thought, wow, this is not just a message for kids. This is a message for all of us, isn't it? Especially in a time like right now, where
Yeah.
our world is so polarized over different things.
Mhm.
Hopefully, Libby and Violet will have a lesson for all of us.
Yes. Yes. We all sit on the same windowsill.
We all sit on this very well. Yes, that should be a shirt.
Exactly.
Let's work on that one. Okay, we'll put the text in.
That's
We'll,
a good idea.
okay, people, that's going to be a T-shirt. It's coming out. We all sit on the same windowsill.
Well, I want to switch gears here, if we could, and talk about a little bit about. You've already spoken about Vector and somewhat why that was a choice, but like why Vector, and tell me about the kitchen, the set, and then I want you to show us
Sure.
the
Yeah,
kitchen.
yeah. We're gonna hopefully we won't have any kind of computer glitches here.
Yeah, yeah.
But today, surprise, surprise, I'm going to show you parts of the book that will look familiar for those who will get to see it, but you also see parts of the book that aren't in the book, and that's actually quite fun about this.
Mhm.
Um, when we were originally talking, and I was thinking about the artistic choices that are in front of us to tell this story. I was thinking, wow, okay, two plants that don't move, essentially.
Mhm.
They're in their pots, they're fixed, they
Yes.
don't have legs.
Mhm.
And therefore, for the most part, they're going to be just sitting on the sill. Um, I thought, wow, that has the potential to be really boring. It has the potential to be visually not very captivating. So I remember thinking, how am I going to do this? Because this is either going to be super simplistic or super detailed.
Right.
And I thought, well, if I really want to go the distance with the kitchen, I didn't want to put myself in a situation where I would be drawing the kitchen in a certain perspective, and then have to redraw the whole thing again in another perspective, and then again in another. I thought this book would still be in the process of being made, and so I decided, well, let's do something different.
Yeah.
Let's create a 3D. Let's create a 3D kitchen where I can make the kitchen once, and I can use camera angles, and we can, well, in a sense, the kitchen becomes its own character in that
Yeah.
sense. It's like, well, if the characters on the sill can't move, maybe we do.
Yes.
And so that was the artistic choice there, to make the reader be the one that's moving around the kitchen.
Yeah.
So that was a big reason why I went with doing a 3D kitchen. And some people might look at something like this and say, well, isn't it enough to just do a portion? Why do 360? Why do stuff that's never going to show? Well, I'll say, very good question. And at the same time, I would say there was something that was unexpected for me in the process. That when I finished making the kitchen, and this final kitchen was our third or fourth attempt of making a kitchen, there was something very, for me, magical to be, if I can say, digitally. I felt like I digitally put myself in that environment. I actually felt like in some cases, drawing, or I should say working with vector, I felt like I was in many times sitting in Abigail's kitchen in that process. And there was something very immersing about that.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No.
As a person with a filmmaking background, it was really familiar territory even for me. I wasn't working in the environment, but I got to peek over your shoulder every once in a while, so to speak. And yeah, the concept was very familiar to both Kevin and I. So I really liked that element was in this book, that I know it's there, even if other people don't entirely. But can we go ahead and try and show the kitchen? I'm going to.
I'll just say, just coming back again a little bit though, drawing, just talking about vector as well for a moment. Why I chose to do vector. I touched on this a little bit. I don't know how well I spoke about it, but I touched on this a little bit, that Libby's spines, they would have been actually a challenge. Even just those thorns would have been difficult to replicate perfectly every time per drawing. Working with vector, once you kind of build, if I could put it that way, build the characters, they're like that. Now I'm just being able to move things around. So it's like digital putty in that sense. I can start to play with them rather than draw them in the end, which also made it a very special in both senses, the kitchen and the characters. It made it a very special, unique experience to involve you and Kevin in some of the final decisions, and giving you that liberty to say, look, it's absolutely no problem if you want us to have a different perspective, if you want Libby to have a different expression. It was simply the moving of a camera in the end. After all that was said and done, and all the work that went into putting it, at the end, that creative process of putting everything together wasn't just me. You guys became quite involved in that, and that was very special.
And we loved that too. We loved that too.
Yeah. So shall we show parts of the kitchen?
Yeah. Let me get the overlay removed, and that's ready. There we go. Okay.
Let me see. Are you seeing that? Oh, that's cool. Okay. I wonder if I do this, or am I? That might work. Okay. So just so you, no, I think this will mess things up if I move too much. So by the way, I'm not actually seeing myself in the camera or you at this moment. I'm kind of blind here because now I'm just looking at the kitchen. Hey, Priya, it's good to see you. So actually, this is a different angle, but this is the same or very close to the same position where Abigail is opening the box. Now I closed the box for this and I removed Abigail because Abigail, we talked about this extensively when we were uh, thinking about this book. We had agreed and decided that Abigail would not be seen. We wouldn't show her face.
Yeah.
And part of that was a kind of a nod to another creative process that when I do Frodo the Sheltie, as much as you might see me in many of the comic strips, you will never see my face. It's always just our legs. And so it's a little bit of a shout out to the comic strip there. But also, it was also a decision to not show her face because in this sense, the reader could be Abigail. So that was also part of that thinking of anybody could be the owner of Priya here. Anyone could be the owner of these adorable plants in this lovely garden. So that was also a big part of the decision to not put Abigail's face right there, and that's why she's not in the kitchen today. I took her out, but we will see Abigail while we go through the kitchen because she shows up. But here's the box that Violet is in, and let's move out a little bit.
Neat.
So in the foreground there, maybe we can move in on that a little bit. Oh, let's see. I might be crashing into things. Don't worry, no cats will be hurt in this process. But there is Libby's pot, and you might be thinking, hey, what is that thing? This is a digital, if you will, puppet or simple mock-up of Libby that I put when I was doing work on positioning of the camera. I wanted to get a sense of size. I wanted to get a sense of what we're going to be seeing of Libby. And so that's why I kind of put this little dummy inside the pot. But when we did final renders, I just took her away.
I'm going to try something, Gord, because my window ended up being big. So I'm just going to try seeing if I can get this little screen a little larger by hiding my image. Hold on.
If you hide, we won't be able to hear you. So you might want to come back.
Let's see here. There.
So
okay, we're in a different position now.
We're in a different. Is this better? Do you think? Okay.
It's not, but we'll continue. Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Anyways, as I was saying, I had Libby here as a kind of a mock Libby. And just to help me with perspective and getting a sense of when I move the camera in a certain way, what are we going to see of her? And then when all was said and done, and when it was time for rendering. And by the way, what you're seeing here of the kitchen, you're going to see that some things look a little bit odd, like that teapot. This is what we call just a preview. This helps us to move quicker through the kitchen in this view. But once everything is said and done, and we like the position, then we can render it out, and it renders out quite differently.
Can we see some more angles there, Gord? So just
I'm sorry.
Can we see some more angles? Can we rotate?
Oh yeah, sure. I was just talking about the process of what you're seeing and what would be different.
Yeah.
By the way, you're probably seeing gray through the window. That's because there's nothing there. When it gets rendered out, it's an empty space, and I would later on paint the outside.
Right.
So again, lots of fun. It took us a long time. So you'll never see this here. The scissors I created,
Oh,
all those little individual pencils that I made, they don't ever show up. So it's kind of funny. There's a spoiler right there.
yep.
Not a spoiler, but an Easter egg. We talked about how it would be funny. And actually, it showed up in one of the images. So Frodo the Shelties calendar is right there in the book. So there's a cabinet that never shows up.
Right.
And so moving on. There is another room altogether that never shows up. And you might be thinking, why would I bother doing that? And the big reason why is these pots that for you, these pots that are for you showing up as black, when they get rendered out, they are actually reflecting. Mm-hmm. So all of these are reflecting like chrome, or I don't know, the material of pots. They are reflecting. So having the 3D60 experience, it picks up like a real world experience in these pots. Cool. This is also a little bit of a shout out to my kitchen, my own kitchen. When my wife and I moved into our new home, my brother-in-law and his wife had bought us this set of plaques for the wall that says home, hope, and love. And I remember when I was one day having breakfast in the kitchen, and I looked up at that and I thought, oh, that might look nice in Abigail's kitchen. So that was fun. You're going to see these little markers up on top here. I did not today put up the curtains because it would actually make the moving of the camera slow. But that was also a lot of fun, learning how to make curtains in a 3D world. So if I pushed a button right now, which would probably cause all kinds of problems right now for us right here, there would be a flat, plain material that would jump up onto these little markers. Now, these markers do not show up in the final render, but they position the curtain on this rod. So that's how I managed to get my curtains. That was actually a lot of fun learning about that.
The corner of the counter there. I just this is for someone's sake. Could we show that picture that's on the counter just for a moment?
Yeah. Are you talking about?
I'm talking about Mom.
Yes. Very good. Let's go see Mom.
Yes,
there we go. There we go. There's Mom. Another spoiler.
Oh, Easter egg, yes.
Easter egg, I should say, yeah. So there's Mom.
Yes. In the corner there. Yeah.
I remember, and that again is a proof in the pudding of how wonderful this experience was, because we were about halfway through the book. And you said to me, hey, do you think we can put my mom somewhere in the book?
A picture
to
of
which
her.
I kind of had a bit of sweat pouring off my head when you said that. But then I thought about it and going, hey, actually, why not? This is the whole point, right?
Yeah.
We're able to contribute ideas to it, and why not? And so it was as simple as drawing your mom and putting her in a frame and then placing her in the kitchen. It was that simple. And simply re-rendering some images that would have that corner being featured.
One more finger, Gord, if you could just zoom in on it, because it's very small.
Sure. Oh, yes, of course. Sorry.
Giving my mom her moment here. And she's a relative of Abigail's, apparently, which is why her picture it's like, Auntie Mom.
Give me a moment. I'm gonna. Oops. Driving a camera. I think
Yes.
you need a license for this. I think no. So here we go. We're moving in. Let's get in onto mom. You tell me
Yep.
when it starts to look a little better. That was actually a lot of fun also, learning how to model fruit.
Oh yes. Fruit bowl by my mom's. That'll do. That'll do, Gord. Here we
That's
go.
good. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So much of this was such a learning experience for me when doing this. I had really never done anything like this before. So Libby, the experience of doing Libby was such an open door onto a whole new area of art for me. Um, Building the textures. These are just simply, for example, the planks here. These are individual planks that for each one of them, I actually painted textures um, on it too. So yeah, painting textures, and then through some, without getting into too much detail, with certain things you can do for texture appearances, trying to make these look like actual panels was such a fun learning. Um, Given that we were going to go the distance of making a kitchen, I thought, if we're going to do this, let's get as detailed as we can. So doing the plates, learning how to do the plates. Um, Sorry that the curtains aren't up, because that was also fun, actually doing the design on the curtains.
That
But
just means you
they
have to buy
feature
the
in the
book
book.
to see the curtains, right, Gord? Yeah,
I'm sorry?
you have to buy the book to see the curtains.
Yeah, to buy, yes, exactly. Well, I want to see the curtains. Go buy the book. This was also a lot of fun. This actually comes out of um, there's a gentleman by the name of Scott McCloud. If he ever catches this, shout out to you, Scott, even though you don't know me. He is an author about understanding comic books. And really, it shouldn't be just about that. It should be about understanding how to tell stories with pictures. And he had done this study about, or not study, he was teaching about the power of drawing environment and letting the environment tell a story about characters. And I remember that led me to ask you more questions about Abigail. Since we weren't going to see Abigail, I wanted to know more about her, more than what you had written. And so, do you remember that?
I
I
do.
started to say, tell me about her. What is she like? Is she alone? Does she, what's her occupation? And then you said that she's a teacher.
Yes.
So then I thought, well, that's fantastic. Let's show that she is one that works with children. And so here, you don't see Abigail, but in fact, you do see Abigail. And if you look closely in the book, you are going to see this. So Abigail does appear, but it's
In her
kind of
home,
like, there she is. Yeah.
in the middle, she's with the purple shirt there.
Yeah.
To differentiate her from her students. I believe she's a kindergarten teacher, and she's actually she is based just as a person. She's in my head kind of a 30 to 35-year-old version of my cousin Abby. So shout out to Abby. I just wanted to take that moment there. And actually, Gord, I think I'm going to announce the winner
Fantastic.
of today's prize, which is the Frodo the Sheltie trilogy and a copy of Libby
Yes.
Juliana.
Yes.
Now I'll just really quickly hide the extra screen. There we go. And yes, that winner is Deborah Edmiston.
Woohoo!
Congratulations, Deborah. I will be contacting you. She did lots of liking through Instagram and managed to get drawn. But before we leave, just one more question I wanted to, we actually talked about this yesterday, and I just wanted to give you a minute to tell this little story. One of your students asked you, do you think this book will be a success? And
yeah, there was we were talking about that, and we were wondering what kind of success could we see in this book. And I was thinking, wow, well, how are we going to measure that kind of success? What does success look like when it comes to a children's book? And as I told you, for myself, this is something that isn't about money. I'm thankful that in this moment I have good work. I love the students that I have. Life is good to me in this moment. And so I have work, you have work. So we're not measuring success based on sales so much, although it'd be nice if it sells, of course. But at the same time, I was thinking, after all of this, all that we've gone through in putting this story together, if one child got a hold of this, if one child was touched by this, then we have touched an entire community. And so I'm really excited for just the story of that individual child that would actually have an opportunity to see Libby grow, and say, hey, I think I get her, and my spines aren't so bad either.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Beautiful, Gord. Thank you so much for chatting with me today. It's been wonderful.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. And, those of you who watch the replay, please give us your comments in the comments section. We'd love to hear from you. And I will also put a link so you can buy the book in the comments. Thank you, everyone.